to you.
Good morning, Claremont Center for Spiritual Living. How are you this morning? Good to see you. Thank you all for wearing your masks. Those of you that are in the room, those of you at home, you are off the hook. Just so delighted to be here this morning. I'm Reverend Tracy, and happy to welcome you to this community where we come together every week to remember the bigger picture, the one that says all is well, that right where we are is right where we're meant to be, that whatever we're going through, we do it together, that there is support and love and fellowship and community lifting us, wrapping its arms around us, ensuring that we truly are always living our best life. So give yourselves a little pat on the back for showing up this morning. Let's say hello to our friends that are joining us from online. And thank you all for continuing to stay engaged. Again, thank you all for wearing your masks. You know, we are in California. We were back to everyone wearing masks indoors in public spaces. And that is just simply to protect those among us who are not yet vaccinated. They are the ones that seem to be getting ill, and we want to make sure that we're doing everything we can to slow the spread. So thank you all for doing that. And I think that's all of my spouting off at the beginning that I have to do. I want to take a little moment here to thank my platform angels who helped get the lights lit, the candles lit, and everything ready for this morning. We've had a little bit of excitement in the sanctuary today, but everybody's here and we're all good and ready to go. So let's get started, shall we? Let's start with a moment of quiet. We'll start with our bowl as we always do, and then our practitioner of the day, Patty Powers, will do our invocation and a short reading. So I invite you to take that deep breath and close your eyes. And let the sound of the bowl take you to that place within, that place of peace, that place of love and joy and wisdom, that place where we remember that we are one with the power that is.
So in this oneness, we know that this room is filled with love. We know that this room is filled with joy. And we know that as we go through our service this morning, that we go through this room with thought and patience and attention, and then more love. Knowing that love is all. And so let's just focus on love for a minute. And in this love, we sprinkle it with gratitude. We sprinkle it with joy. And we let it go and let it be and say together, and so it is. My reading today is from How to Use the Science of Mind by Ernest Holmes. I know that there is an inner presence in everything. I know that this presence responds to me. I know that everyone is an incarnation of God, that the living spirit breathes through all. I recognize this spirit, and it responds to me. I realize that everything is alive, awake, and aware with spirit. I commune with this divine presence. This spirit within me reaches out and communes with the spirit in everything and everyone I encounter. It is the same spirit in all, over all, and through all. I have a deep realization that I am surrounded by an infinite law which receives the impress of my thought and acts creatively upon it. I am conscious of my ability to use this law to direct it for specific purposes, and there is nothing in me that can deny, limit, obstruct, divert, or in any way hinder my use of this law. It is within my own mind because God is right where I am. Thank you.
Thank you. It's perfect. So we continue our conversation this month about vision, being pulled by vision. To know that there is a purpose for our lives and the power with which to live that purpose. So I started thinking about all the questions we tend to ask ourselves when we're figuring things out or getting ready to make a big decision, or maybe we've made a decision and we're not quite sure it was the right one. And that whole swirl of conversation that starts up in our heads. You know, we think we make a decision, we think maybe we didn't do it right, or we fell short, or it didn't turn out the way we wanted it to. So what did we do wrong? Or what's wrong with the world anyway? Why can't people just get along, get a clue, pay attention, be nice? You know, there's this little vortex of questioning that comes from a place of what we don't have, a place of lack, and it will just suck the life right out of us, right? It's just debilitating. Now, we may have really great days where we don't do that. You know, we see what's going on. We say, well, that's interesting. Okay, what am I going to do next? And we pick something and we go and it works out great. We meet up with the friends. We hang out with the fun people. You know, we don't have all that relationship tension. We're just enjoying each other's company. And that's great until we get to the day where that's not happening and everybody's acting weird or being mean or ignoring me, you know, whatever, pick your poison, right? We get that swirl of poisonous thoughts in our head. And I came across this essay by Alan Cohen. He's a New Thought writer. And he wrote this essay called Why Your Life Sucks. It's a little bit long, but it's worth it. So stay with me here. One afternoon, an official-looking fellow showed up at my door and flashed an ID from the water department. I just read your water meter, he said, and I have to inform you that you have an unusually high usage this month. High usage? Yes, sir, about 4 times the usual amount. 4 times? That's right. Here are the numbers. I looked at the numbers. He wasn't kidding. It's our policy to let you know when this is the case, just in case you have any leaks in your water system. No leaks I knew of. Maybe my tenant had been taking a lot of showers, but 80,000 gallons worth of showers? No, he doesn't even wash his dishes. I thanked the waterman and told him I'd try to conserve this month and hope the bill would come down next month. A few days later, I'm sitting on my back porch and I notice a puddle in the corner of the yard. That puddle had been there for a while, but I chalked it up to some heavy rain we'd had, but the rest of the lawn had dried up. I poked my hand into the puddle. There was a pipe beneath it, and it was leaking. I can tell you exactly how much it was leaking, about 80,000 gallons a month. Energy leaks. If you are losing energy in the form of joy, health, money, or love, you have a leak in your system. There's no malevolent parasite that's invaded your world and is undermining you. Your leak is on your property, and as such, you have access to repair it. The entire game of life is about making the best use of your energy. The question is not, is there life after death? It's, is there life before death? To answer this for yourself and live it, you must quit doing things that deplete your energy and start doing things that expand it. Moses delivered 10 commandments that point on how to accomplish this. But A, nobody wants to be commanded. B, Charlton Heston's bad makeup job undermined Moses' credibility. And C, nobody has enough patience on the internet to wait for 10 commandments to download. So here's everything you really need to know to relocate from Suckville. Do what brings you life. Do not do what deadens you. The reason you are not where you want to be is that you are doing things you don't want to do. If that sounds simple, it is. And sure, there are some things you have to do that you don't want to do, but not as many as you're doing. Give yourself a break. If you took the energy you're wasting on things that suck and used it for things you love, what would you be doing differently? What would you be doing differently with that energy? When you invest your time and energy in stuff that drags you down, you die a little bit every day. Your life force reduces to a dribble and you croak. He never minces words. Yet the Bible documents people who lived for hundreds of years, and there are people in remote regions today who live far past 100. Their lives are simpler, and they don't fritter away their life force watching people hit each other over the head with chairs on Jerry Springer. They just live close to nature, eat yogurt, and develop meaningful relationships with llamas. Simple, right? Simple. While you may be very careful about what you pay for with your money, you might be less careful about what you pay for with your attention. In the long run, how you spend your attention affects your life far more profoundly than how you spend your money. Your attention is the strongest currency at your disposal. If you squander it, your life will result in one big overdraft. If you invest it in things you value, you will collect interest big time and be interested along the way. Everything you do is an investment in more of the same. Let me repeat that. Everything you do, you are investing in more of the same. So where's your attention going? Because wherever it is, the universe says, yep, here you go, here's some more. The illusion is that if you do something you don't like long enough, it will go away. How's that working for you? The truth is, the more you get involved in something, the more involvement it leads to. Anybody ever own a boat? Yeah, see, some of you have. If you truly enjoy something, dive in. If not, have the guts to walk away from what doesn't serve you. Where we put our intention is what we are investing in. And what makes it different is the question that we ask ourselves, the way in which we look at how life unfolds for each of us. My title today is, What's the Difference? Some of those questions I sometimes ask myself is, okay, yeah, I said I'd go to this party, but is anybody going to really notice if I don't go? I kind of don't feel like it, you know? Or I have a great spiritual practice every morning. You know, do I really have to meditate, or can I just sit quietly? Those little tiny choices are what take us into the big picture of what we want for our lives. Those small steps may seem small, those little slips may seem minor, but what we really want to know is the choices and things that I'm making now, are they leading me into the vision I have for my life, my best life? Or are they keeping me from it? If you've ever saved up for something, like if you want to buy your first house, And what happens is everything that you do gets filtered through the lens of, does this support me buying my house or not? So money that you might have paid for entertainment or food out or other variables like that all gets filtered through, is this going to support my big vision of owning my own home or not? And then the choices change, right? And the feeling about it changes. And when we finally get the house, the sense of accomplishment is huge. And it wasn't like, well, maybe it was, but for most of us, it wasn't like somebody handed us the money to go buy the house. It was step by step by step by step. The thing is, when we think those small things don't matter, what happens is underlying that we think we don't matter. We confuse small with value. So when we feel small, we don't think we matter. We don't think it's important. We don't think what we do makes a difference. What difference does it make if, I drop my trash on the ground or put it in the trash can? I've seen a lot of high school kids with that particular mentality. They walk by my house every day when they're in school. But it does matter, doesn't it? It's not a question of value just because it's a little thing. It's a question of what we hold to be important. Today happens to be Nelson Mandela International Day, as declared by the United Nations. Now, here's a man who lived his values, and his values were extremely powerful. He not only he contributed to the world, not just because of what he did, but because of what was important to him, and he lived from that. So here's some things that are important. Here's some things that are valuable. His dedication to the service of humanity in conflict resolution, race relations, promotion and protection of human rights, reconciliation, gender equality, and the rights of children and other vulnerable groups, the fight against poverty, the promotion of social justice, and the struggle for democracy internationally. I think we can all agree that those are big values. He had a big vision for how the world could be, and he made a huge difference in his world. Not just in his country, but he sparks the conversations that continue to this day about reconciliation and reparations and how to make peace and how to heal without covering up. Big values, big vision, big life. But tell me, is this any less valuable? Pat was running up and down a mountain somewhere in a park. It's what she does for fun, as you know. I was not with her. I'm sure I was doing something important as well. There's a segment of the trail that's pretty steep, and on her way up, walking and running, I'll tell you, she said she didn't run the whole way. She did a little walking and running. There was a mom and two little girls, one like about 7 and 10, on their way up. It's hot, really hot. Littlest one was kind of far behind. Mom's saying, come on, let's go, come on. And the little girl, looked like she was going to tip over. And Pat stopped and said something to her about, hey, you're doing a great job. I know it's hard, but you're going to get there. This is really good. You keep going. And then she continued on up the hill. She did a little run at the top, and then on her way back, the three of them, the mom and the two girls, were under the tree resting, not quite to the top, but pretty close. And mom called out. Mom hadn't spoken to her before, but the mom called out and said, wow, this is pretty hard. And so Pat stopped and had a conversation with them and said, I know it is. She says, I run this often, and I'm still not to where I can just shoot right up the hill. I have to pause and take a break and cool off and drink water. They didn't have water with them. I mean, they kind of, they're rookies out there on this hillside. She said, the mom said, we started right at the parking lot and came up, and Pat keeps a watch on her arm, and she looks at it and she says, do you realize you've already walked 3.5, 4 miles? That by the time you get back to your car, you will have done 8 miles? That is huge. That's amazing. And she's looking at all three of them. You guys are great. You're like rock stars. Way to go. So proud of you for getting out here today and doing this in spite of the heat. And the mom and the two girls smiled. They were hopeful. They were energized. And that's the goal. It's the energy that we exchange that supports and uplifts us all. It's the speaking from the heart and making a connection where we resonate with someone in order to show them that we see them and they are of value. They're worth our time. That's no less valuable than finding peace in the world. Because the way we make peace in the world is one conversation on a hot, dusty hillside at a time. It's why we're here. It's why we're here. Michael Beckwith, a minister of science of mind and New Thought teacher, created a process that we all teach now as visioning. And he talks about his own spiritual journey that led him to the spiritual practice that opened him up to what his life could be. And he talks about what our purpose of life is. And he says, we're here to love. We're here to love. And the way in which we express that love in the world is unique to each of us because we're individuals. So the purpose or vision of our life is the way in which we express the love we are here to give. Because in giving, we receive. In giving, we are giving life. Ernest Holmes says that love is the self-givingness of life. In other words, supporting, thriving, and growing and expanding, nourishing. This is what love does. And so he says that if you don't know that purpose or you don't have a vision, in other words, an outlet or a way for you to express your best self in life, then you become someone who drifts along on the currents of the culture's beliefs of the day. Do you know people like that? Everything they say or do is just whatever's floating through the air today, depending on which news station they watch or how happy or not happy their family is or what kind of friends they hang out with, what kind of spiritual treatment they do, what center they go to. People who don't know their purpose become statistics. You know those law of averages, the actuarial tables that say most people will die at such and such an age, or some people, this amount of people will probably end up in a car accident. Yeah, the people that live out those averages are the ones who are just riding those currents. Because what we know is that we are not bound by the law of averages. We are not bound by the prediction of society. You have proven that to yourself many times over, or you wouldn't be here, right? So this idea of having a vision, of finding our purpose and discovering our unique way of being love in the world is really the point. So how do you find your unique way? Well, first, you quiet your mind. And then you open your heart. And then you ask the right questions. Not what's wrong with me. Not why doesn't society work. Not figuring it out, trying to figure out how to do whatever you got to do. And it's such a struggle and you just don't know, but you got to do something. Quiet mind. Open heart. What are the right questions? How are we going to align our consciousness with the purpose that we are here for, right? Because that's really what we're doing in visioning. We're listening. We're not just saying that there's a power in this world, in this universe that I can use. We're also saying, and it can use me. We've been talking all month about Kingdom 3, the idea that spirit works through us, through the prism of our personality to make those unique connections, to have that individual creativity that creates a better world for us all. There they are. Here's the questions. So besides, what would I do with my energy if I did what I loved instead of what I don't love? Ask yourself this. What is this vision of love or my best life? What is it calling me to heal and inviting me to become? In your heart of hearts, what are you being called to heal? What are you being called to become? What is my soul most yearning to experience and express? You know, we have a lot of pent up heart's desires from this last year. So many activities and things we couldn't really do. So some of it is outward based. Let's go do something. Let's go see people. Let's go have some fun. But in that quiet space within, what's yours to do that you haven't quite stepped into yet? That's your soul talking. Asking yourself, what's my deepest intent in this now moment? That's the question that changes the conversation between you and someone that you disagree with from I'm right and I'm going to convince you to understanding that your intent may be to simply create a connection, a first step in building a positive relationship. It may be that your intent in this now moment is to know yourself as peace. And so you step back from someone who wants to fight. It may be that your deepest intent in this now moment is to really experience joy in this moment by sitting in your garden or sipping your favorite tea, or calling an old friend. And then asking yourself, does this choice or this habit that I have or this decision I'm going to make, does it align with the vision of what I want to be? That is energizing. That is not going to deplete you. That is going to open you to something greater. See, the thing about visioning is we're not making stuff up. We're not figuring it out. What we're doing is we're latching onto, catching what's already happening as life, because life is always moving, right? And life is always transformative and expansive and growing us. What we want to do is make sure that we're riding the wave and not getting pummeled by the wave. We want to be open to that flow of Spirit's energy. Ernest Holmes has a couple of great quotes in this month's magazine. He says, we're to keep the channel clear. We must provide a way through which the water of Spirit may dive down into our minds and out into action in everyday living. There's no use in catching inspiration from on high unless we can actually bring it down into what we're doing. And by on high, he doesn't mean, God's will imposed upon us from something outside of ourselves. No, it's the essence and energy and intelligence of life that we already have that we're simply opening up to. We already have it because we already have a personality. We already have creative gifts. We already have a joy of living. We just want to make sure the tap is open, that it moves from our highest self out into the world, because that is truly how we raise consciousness for all of us. Asking the right questions takes practice, right? You've got to be able to step out of the situation that's swirling you around, right? If you've been body surfing and you just got smashed by a wave and spit out onto the shore, probably a good idea to take a minute and catch your breath before you go back in. So we need to practice. We need our spiritual practice. So when we catch ourselves asking, what's wrong with me? or what's wrong with you? That's the more common question. Then we practice reframing that, rephrasing that, asking a better question. What is here for me to know? What wants to come forth here? What is the human connection in all this? So one of my favorite philosophers is not an official philosopher at all. She's a dancer, Martha Graham. She says some pretty profound things. She says, I believe we learn by practice, and whether it means to learn to dance by practicing dancing or to learn to live by practicing living, the principles are the same. In each, it's the performance of a dedicated, precise set of acts, physical or intellectual, from which comes shape of achievement, a sense of one's being, and a satisfaction of spirit. One becomes, in some area, an athlete of God. Practice means to perform over and over again in the face of all obstacles, some act of vision, of faith, of desire. Practice is a means of inviting the perfection desired. So what are you sending your invitations out for? What kind of party are you going to have in your head and your heart? What is it that you want to invite into your life? Because you see, it's not if you make a difference in the world. It's what kind of difference you want to make. Because you are making a difference. And we are the difference that the world needs. Namaste. So let's take a moment in prayer, shall we? Retiring once again to that inner space, that inner landscape of the heart. Following your breath into your heart space and out again. With every in-breath, claiming quiet mind. With every out-breath, claiming open heart. Quiet mind, open heart. It is from this place within that the wisdom of the higher self resides. This place of the open heart, where that which wants to be expressed is born. This sacred spot of sanctuary that is within each and every one of us. That quiet voice of the soul, guiding, directing, prescribing, urging, pulling us forward into our greatest life. And so as I tap into this place of wisdom, this inner guidance, I claim and know that the creative energy of all things is the creative energy that I use. The divine intelligence that orders the planets is the same intelligence flowing through me. And I choose to acknowledge and recognize and invite the divine presence to make itself known in and as my life. I open myself to the answers to the questions of what my soul desires, what my highest vision is, what waters want to flow through me now. For I know that I cannot go wrong, that every step is a step into a greater life, that no matter the appearances, it is all working together for the highest and best of all. And that in this pause, in this remembering, in this acknowledgement of what is within me, I am renewed and refreshed and re-energized. I open myself to the clear flow of Spirit's waters, moving through and as me into the world, and calling it good, and saying thank you, appreciating the blessings, recognizing the gifts of others, offering my own, and truly living my best life. Knowing that this is true for me, I know it is true for everyone, for I see that spark of divinity within each and every face. I recognize the hands of spirit in the action taken in kindness and compassion, in words offered to a child, in the reaching out of hands to help a neighbor. So knowing that love is who we are, that spirit is what we express, I release my word into law. For this divine intelligence will act upon the impress of my thoughts. This divine law will simply unfold in space and time the outpicturing of these beliefs I hold dear, that love is who and what I am, as are you. And that together we create this world that works for everyone. And so it is. All right. I have an affirmation for you. You ready? This is yes, this is no. Ready? Okay. Sometimes you get lost in the moment, I gotta come back now. Let's do this all together. Ready? Today I catch the vision of my best life. Spirit through me makes a difference in the world. And so it is. All right, let's see. What's happening? Tennis shoes? Anybody remember their tennis shoes? Anybody forget their tennis shoes today? Anybody still have tennis shoes? We're still talking about tennis shoes. Okay, we got a couple. All right, bring them in. We'll use them. They'll go to a good cause. We'll make a little money. People will be happy. Kids will have playgrounds to play on. It's just a fabulous thing we're doing here. You did notice the Christmas trees out front, right? So we're doing Christmas in July, hence the Christmas music at the beginning of the service. That was good. I like it. We're going to play that after the service too, so we, kind of get in the mood. Here's what we're doing. We're so happy to be back. We thought we'd give ourselves presents. So we're making presents for the center. There are 3 different categories to contribute to if you are so moved. So those of you that are the outdoorsy, nature, love the garden types, your contributions will help buy topsoil or new sod or plants or rocks or dirt, we're all the really good stuff, right? Sprinkler systems, whatever it is that we need to make our outside areas sustainable and beautiful. That's what we're working towards. If you're more of the inside the house person, we have a collection box for decor, which is everything from paint and fabric and furniture to freshen up and create this space a little bit newer than it currently is, in a way that makes it feel more homey, more welcoming, just rich. Because, we've got a really great community here, and we want a space that really reflects that. So something that takes advantage of these beautiful ceilings. And then the third area, for all of you techie types, we have, what do we call it? Visual equipment. So things like screens, and so enabling us to do displays and announcements and, I don't know, it's just something with bright and pretty colors. So that's like laptops and cables and all that really fun stuff that some of us just glaze over when we talk about, but are necessary because, as you know, we have a great little sound and AV team going on back here. Everybody wave to these guys. Yes, thank you. Our Facebook live stream is getting better all the time. We want to upgrade the quality of our sound so that when we do have musicians here, that's a seamless production and we sound and look as good as we feel. So different ways. And if you can't decide, you can simply take a little tag off the tree. That's what they are. They're little gift tags. You grab one, add it to your contribution, put your name on it, and drop it in the right box. Or if you're not sure, there's just little tags with dollar amounts if you just want to contribute. And you can put it in the little plant box or whichever one you like. So questions, make sure you see the board. Oh, and a special treat today. Can't have Christmas in July without Christmas treats. So today we have Christmas cupcakes. They are the most fabulous cupcakes you will ever see, ever. We'll put a little love offering basket out there for you to contribute to, but I do want you to enjoy them. It's a friend of mine I used to work with. This is his little side job, and when you see him, you're going to wonder why he's not doing it for his full-time job. It's called Cake a Bite of This. Cake a Bite of This. He's on Facebook and Instagram. You got to go check out the pictures, but you're going to see it in real life today. Just so you know, the ones with the wreaths, the green Christmas wreaths, those are vanilla. Everything else is chocolate. So knock yourselves out. And I think that's all we have for announcements. Anything I miss? Wednesday night is back on Zoom. We're going. It's at 7 o'clock. The link is in the e-blast and also on the website. So do join us on Wednesdays for good conversation. And oh yeah, thank you for your contributions, because your contributions keep us all here. So again, we're still not passing the basket. They're located in the back by the door. So on your way out, you can just bless it and drop it in. But if you will, if you know our prosperity affirmation, you can say it with me. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I give, and all that I receive. I am prosperous now. All right, my friends, let's stand up, make a circle, spread out. Remember, we're not really singing yet, but you can certainly give somebody across the room a little dance move as we rock out to Eddie Watkins Jr.
Take a look at the person next to you. Say, God loved you and I love you too. Now feel the love in the sanctuary. Lift your voice and repeat after me. We come together, we come together, we come together, we come together.